Three, two, one. We are live. Hello and welcome to PropTechBuzz, a business podcast on global PropTech, where we talk to PropTech founders and CEOs from all around the world and learn from them how they build and scale successful PropTech companies. Not just scale. Today we have an exciting guest who has an exciting news to reveal. It's all out in the public. I've got Sandeep Kaul, who is the CEO of Hipla Technologies, and it's the news is just out this week. Hipla got acquired by Inventory. Inventory is a pioneer in smart work management solutions. So we'll have a lot of meat to talk. But before I introduce my guest onto our podcast today, I would like to make a request and a plea to all our audience out there. If you are listening to this content and you have not yet hit that subscribe button, please do that, because hey, we are talking about a very niche sector here, PropTech, and the more people hit like and subscribe, the wider is the reach of this content. I have had some very fascinating guests in the past. I'm going to have incredible speakers also in the future. So for us to do a good job, it helps to have the reach maximized to as many people as possible. So please be kind and hit that like and subscribe button. Also, we are on audio only, Spotify. So if you go to Spotify and if you like listening to audio content in your car or in your jog, then you can go to Spotify, look for PropTechBuzz, and you will find us and hit that follow button there. With that, let's welcome our guest today. Sandeep, welcome to PropTechBuzz. How are you doing today?
Hey Ravi, thanks for having me on the show. Pretty happy to chat with you. I'm doing excellent, and look forward to a very interesting conversation with you.
Nice, Sandeep. Sandeep, again, very congratulations to you for a nice acquisition from Inventory. I had a list of questions that I had prepared before I knew about the acquisition, but a lot of that will change because I would love to have a conversation about the acquisition. So let's begin with that story, and then we talk about your background and stuff like that. So, do you want to tell about this acquisition from Inventory?
Sure. We have made the public announcements. Inventory, which is a very large UK-based company into a similar domain as us, which is smart work tech. They have acquired 100% of our company, and this is an acquisition for growth where the management stays on. I'm going to continue to be the CEO of the company. Our day-to-day operations do not change at all. Primarily, the acquisition, has been made for two major factors. One is to provide Hipla with more dry powder to launch innovative solutions. One. Second, also take our products, which we have developed, to international markets, especially UK. And the third, the brilliant and absolutely innovative and exciting products which Inventory has, bring them to the Indian subcontinent. So these are the three primary pillars on which the acquisition was done, and we all are super excited here. We all look for a very great future. Our customers are excited. They get more products to see, more innovation. So I'm pretty charged up here, Ravi.
Excellent. So let's look at what are the commonalities between Hipla and Inventory. So let's begin with understanding what Hipla was. Okay, before this acquisition, what was your focus? What was the category that you were operating in? And then we understand Inventory, and then a little bit, because this is a business podcast, I've never had a conversations on acquisitions and mergers. There are a lot of prop tech founders and CEOs also listening to this content. They would also be able to learn from this experience. So I want to have this episode today specifically on how does a successful acquisition and a merger happen, and so on and so forth. But before that, let's start with the Hipla story. Okay, tell us what Hipla was before this acquisition.
So we have been into sign-in solutions, visitor management, digital access control, and smart offices has been a key vertical. Work tech, workplace technology. So we have been a part of that. And so another module which we had was meeting room management. That is pre so-called pre-inventory acquisition. And Ravi, I don't think that's going to change. We're going to continue to do that, and we're going to add more products and more modules to this. As I explained when we started, uh, everything around this milestone on Hipla's journey is about growth and new innovation. In fact, we are retaining the brand Hipla. It's our products are going to be known as Hipla. That does not change at all, and our customers are still going to enjoy whatever we had provided to them before. So I don't see it as pre and post merger slash acquisition. I mostly see it as Hipla 2.0. We were in the first phase of our journey, our life. We were a small baby, and now we have a larger company which helps us right from our product thinking to how do we deliver to our customer satisfaction, and bringing all those processes and thinking to our customers. So I think it's purely Hipla 2.0, and that's how we are moving ahead with this.
Excellent. Let's understand what was Hipla 1.0. What were your portfolio? What does WorkTech mean? Maybe you could just dive a little deeper into what your products were before.
Okay, so WorkTech primarily means any kind of technology which helps us to, bring innovation and productivity to workplace environments. Almost, more than 2 billion people get up and go to work every day, give and take. And, there's a very large set of consumers and people going to a set of environment, which is our offices, whether it's factories or, corporate environment offices. So any kind of technology which helps them to enjoy their workplace is broadly categorized into work tech. Key modules or key, to explain it in a very simplistic manner, these would mean check-in solutions at lobbies, whether it is visitor management systems or any kind of parking solutions. To actually how do you experience your office, whether it is hot deskings, booking of desks, booking of meeting rooms, getting F&B services, which may be a pantry management module, or even as basic access control, which is a lock and key, in a digitized form. So that would broadly cover work technology or work tech as we call it.
Got it. Got it. And so I get that. Let's also now understand what was inventory all about. What were so I'm sure you are complementing your strengths, right? What kind of solutions they were operating at?
So inventory has a very strong customer base for sign-in solutions, which is visitor management. They have
Correct.
other work tech solution that is audit and track, which is around asset and inventory management. They have solutions around proof of presence, which means marking of attendance, things around that, and that's what that's what inventory is into.
Got
More
it.
than 10,000 enterprises across the globe use their products. So
Got it.
that's what inventory is.
Got it. And let's try to understand your story first, because I'm very very curious to know. Okay, how did you? I mean, you have created a lot of value for yourself that is worth acquiring by a big player. Very interested to know your journey. How did at which year was Hipla conceptualized, and what was the founding story for that one?
We started in 2019, and end of 2019, just before COVID. And in fact, we were 3 months old when COVID started, uh, you know, uh, shutting down all the offices. And we started with a thought process of smart offices, and COVID happened. So it wasn't really a great start, I must say that. A lot of apprehensions, but we did what we could together as a team.
No,
And
so
I
Sandeep, sorry to interrupt you. Could you also go a little bit back? Okay, what were you doing before you began this journey, and what led you to start this during COVID? What was it that was a trigger point for you that, hey, I need to build this, I need to give my next 5-10 years into building this? So what was your founding story to start this business?
Okay, so I used to work for a subsidiary of Temasek Holdings, which is the sovereign fund of Singapore. And I was investing some capital of my own into startups. And I found Hipla was a thought, and I was started by a gentleman in Calcutta called JD. And because we were running real estate, I was a part of Temasek had real estate portfolio, and I was a part of a terminal, and I was buying technology. And that's when I realized, in a large building or a large workplace, how much of technology is A, bought, and B, how much more innovation is needed. And I Googled and found Hipla, and in end of 2019, couple of my friends, including the primary person who started it, we put in more capital, and I laid down a path for all my friends that what I think Hipla should be doing, and that's how I got everyone rallying behind me. It's a completely team effort, not only from our team members, but also from my shareholders, because most of them who came and rallied behind me were initially friends and family, and all of them started putting capital to this, and that's how Hipla started. So it's actually
Well,
Hipla is really a collective baby, right? There are a
nice.
lot of people who were well wishers. There are a lot of people who pushed us, supported us, and that's how Hipla got started.
So did you see a big pain point in the market wherein the existing solutions were not doing, not solving this right, and you had some aspirations of disrupting this space? Is that how the opportunity came up?
Yeah, more primarily my, as they call, the first ideation when I came was from a price point of view, because a lot of large players were giving the technology which was needed in buildings, whether you talk about integration with turnstiles, whether you talk about access control, and these was large players, and the price points were too high. And I knew technology primarily because I was investing my own capital in startups. I could figure out that technology wasn't costing as much as consumers were paying, and I could see a great price arbitrage over there. And I knew that someone who restarts this and builds it without the tech burden which a large companies has can offer the same value, probably even better, and at a much lower cost. And essentially, that's what technology is, right? Delivering the same value in much faster, more economical way. And so it's in the primary sense, that's what Hipla started doing. So we went after. I wouldn't say the market share of large guys, but we gave an alternate, or we gave an alternative to companies if they didn't want to go with traditional access control guys. That here is a company which does digital access control and is 1/50th of the cost and is super fast to deploy. Their reports look extremely good. They give deep analytics, and then all those values became very apparent.
Hmm. All right. Very, very curious, especially how do um, property owners, commercial buildings, and large organizations make their technology buying decisions? Like, where do they hang out? Is this a lot of cold selling, like going to them, or there are like usually everybody has a budget also to invest in technology, right? So there are these, especially in the Europe and the US, there are huge PropTech conferences wherein both the buyer side, real estate side, and the PropTech side, they meet, right? I'm very curious to know how technology buying decisions are made by the industry.
Ravi, number one, there is, it's a lot of macro market driven kind of process, because, however, the way North America buys versus the way Europe buys versus the way Indian subcontinental slash Asia buys are very different. And so, there's not like one answer which fits across the globe. And we know it very closely because the way our parent inventory sells and the way Hipla sells is also very different. So we have seen
Hmm.
this first hand now. And I cannot talk a lot about other markets, but I can talk about the Asian market where we
Yeah.
operate, and especially more uh, to drill down in especially the Indian subcontinent. So the buying process here is very different, and yes, everyone has budgets, but typically admin slash facility managers are buying our product. That's those are the the our decision makers, and those are we market to them. Your second question was whether it is cold approach. Again, it depends on the phase of the company. When we started, everything was cold reach out, and the second phase of our company after 2 years when we had maybe like 5-10 customers, then participating in events, and then now I must I can very happily say that we get a lot of references. Also, we need to understand that uh, by the nature of real estate itself, you have a lot of consolidation. So there's a lot of fragmentation, but at a lower end. But if you keep going high up, you will see probably one player owns multiple assets. So, if you go to a large developer, they may own like 100 buildings, right? So
Hmm.
you're just doing one deal then with them, right? And it's going to 100 buildings. So
Got it.
that's how the selling process works with um, our industry or PropTech.
Got it. So, help us with your early growth story, because again, this is very, very fascinating for new entrepreneurs. Okay, who are stepping up, and I'm aware of so many new prop tech companies who have just begun their journey in the last year or so, as being part of accelerator programs and stuff like that. Um, what are some of the lessons from your early growth story that you have learned that you would like to share? Um, and maybe you also made a few mistakes that if you had to restart you would have avoided them. Could you give us some lessons from your growth stories, how you have approached in the last 4 to 5 years? You started in 2019, right? So we're talking about around 4 years of operations, right? What are some of the growth lessons that you have learned?
See, Ravi, I'm sure every entrepreneur has, the same stories. If we had the ability to go back in time, we can actually do so much better. And I'm no different. Now, I can definitely tell you from a point of view today because I have, uh, hindsight is a very powerful tool, as they say. So, my a couple of things which really we did wrong and then we learned is we were non-focused. I think I can't elaborate enough about focus, about one-line communication to your customers, what you do. Just like any industry, prop tech or work tech has so many things to do. Hot desking, meeting room, designing, management of furniture, assets, so many things you can bring to the equation. So we faulted with that. We had too much to offer, and that was a big mistake. So once we really trimmed down our offering to something very specific we were good at, that's where we could see that growth picking up. It just reduces so much clutter from your from your sales team to your comms team to your even your LinkedIn messages. It just so it's better to do one thing and do it good than to go really horizontal and do everything like moderately well. Your customers will definitely want one point solution for everything, but if you try to become that, you'll become nothing for everyone.
Hmm. And I've heard this so many times in within my podcast that, hey, When you offer everything to everybody, you become mediocre, and you are not able to be stick into the minds of your potential clients.
You're
They cannot
right.
place you anywhere. So
You're
instead,
right.
if you just focus on one value proposition, eventually
Yeah.
you will branch out. But when you are beginning, you better
Yeah.
be really good into one niche, right? So what was your niche? What did you focus on? What was your story when you began?
So we started with visitor management, and then once we were good at it, we started with so visitor management. I just say in a very simplistic manner, but lobby management solutions, anything to
Right.
manage your lobby. That's where we started with, and then are uh, we have a very advanced tech for meeting room management now, which is seeing great traction all across, including you know as I was saying, including UK. I'm pretty excited about that. I think we're going to see superb growth just by that module because there's been a massive demand. We are actually running out of bandwidth to install. It's picked up so much. Now,
Nice.
again, a few things which we learned are again they are so general, and it's not something specific to PropTech, but these are very general, and listening to your customers, not just selling and that's it, stopping there. These are very common things which every entrepreneur will tell you, who has been battling it for 3, 4 years. These are, if when I talk to my founder friends, these are exactly the same learnings they had. Being very conscious with deployment of capital, how you use your money, extremely conscious to, you have to be razor focused on cost because you need a longer runway, right? And those were the key learnings which I had.
Excellent. And so when you started with lobby management, okay, again, some food for thought for new entrepreneurs. How did you capture your early markets? Because I suppose this is also a very sticky product, right? Because it's very hard if there is somebody, a customer is already using an existing product. If you are incrementally better than the existing product, they would not go through the hassle of ripping this apart and trying a new solution. You have
You're
to,
right.
people say you have to be at least 9 times better for somebody
You're
to
right.
consider a
You're right.
competition. So, did you
You're right.
go to somebody who did not have lobby management at all? It was not automated at all, or did you also go to customers who had some sort of a solution and then you wanted to be as an alternative?
So, Ravi, you're absolutely bang on. Number one, what we do is extremely sticky. In fact, our own attrition is very low. And it's by the nature of it because once you're in, it's so difficult uh, to replace or get replaced, right? And so that's the beauty of our business. And so we had a mixed approach. We had to do it. We could not bring a product which was just incrementally better because even if you went to like a virgin territory, right, which was completely new, uh, customers would want to get the best solution, right? So we could not be incrementally better. Our product was much superior than whatever was in the market, and I can confidently say even today, extremely robust, deep modules. And then we started looking at markets where we could introduce this, and that is one of the main reasons. Also, we started focusing more on India versus Singapore, where I was originally living, because the market was much larger. I can't I can't you know I can't express enough the size of the Indian market. It's a humongous market, and then it was also developing. Fancy buildings were coming. We could actually show them something which was new, cutting edge, and that's what they really liked. So it was a mixed approach. Good product, excellently good product, but instead of trying to replace competition, which would have been much more difficult, we went for new territories, new places. And once we were in new places, and it happened with us, right? Multinational company, we went to their office in India, they looked at us, and then they pushed us to their Northern American market, right? They told everyone, hey, look at this. This is a much better product, and it works fantastically well. Why don't we try that? I have a very large pharmaceutical company. I can't name them, but that's exactly what happened. We took their Indian office with the digital access control, and immediately they took us to their American office, and now we're looking at a global rollout with them.
Excellent. Nice. Um, does this have a regional optimization for the product that you roll out? Like if you are successful in India, can it be just replicated into some geographies which are similar to India, or you have to bear in mind the regional differences on how technologies are deployed and used? Could you just shed some light there?
Ravi, a great question. 100% you have to localize. There is no doubt. You will definitely have geographies where you can actually have a plug and play approach. But let me draw a parallel for you and the listeners here, right? And again, I'm going to get use my experience selling in India, right? That's what I have a lot of basis for. Now, India is an assisted economy. That means you may have automation, but you still have assistance. That means you may not have a completely unmanned reception desk. Instead of five people, once the technology comes, maybe there's only one person, but there'll still be one person because the cost of labor is cheap, right? So it's an assisted flow. It works differently versus a very developed, if you go to North America or even Europe, right? You want a completely automated solution. Point one. Point two, again, localization. Point two, on the flip side of it, everyone in India knows how to use digital credentials. We have food delivery companies, we have payment gateways. Everything is QR and PIN based, right? Full entire India knows how to use that, right? QR and PIN. So you can actually build a very seamless and very intuitive product because everyone has been trained on using QR and PIN by other companies, right? Whether it is using taxi companies, whether it is Uber, Ola, whether it is food companies. So we were extremely fortunate that, I would say everyone in India, the major large portion of population already has access to smartphones and is using technology, especially the credentials, in some form or the other, right? Now, if I take that and I start flipping it to the European market, or if I do it in the US market, maybe I'm not going to have that kind of success because, we know that even payment gateways and, the digital payment applications are not so prevalent there, right? So I'm not sure whether it will be super successful there or not, but what I know is you have to look at the local market and your technology is going to be fine tuned to the operations which are there.
Got it. So you said India itself is a humongous market. I think that will keep you busy anyways for a couple of years. But do you have eyes set out to other geographies as well?
So from our parent company, that's the plan, right? We are already in UK through our meeting room management solution. We are going to we're going to provide the technology for that and inventory, and our larger family is going to mostly do that internationally. So you will start seeing Hipla products globally. In fact, currently we're already live at 4 locations in UK, and so more global products. But whether the Hipla team here starts doing that, the answer is no. We're going to focus. Our sales is completely geared for Indian market. We have not even scratched the surface. We've not done anything yet. It is a humongous market. It
Got
is,
it.
and it's like what the telecom companies witnessed, right?
Got it.
That kind of growth. That's what's going to happen to work tech in India.
Got it. So let's dig a little deeper on how to set yourself for a successful acquisition. Okay, I think this will be the title of this talk. Okay, so for all the listeners out there who are into the business and maybe they would want to get an exit successfully, strategic one for value and growth, as you mentioned. What do you think are the ingredients? What was your story? How did inventory noticed you? How did you get talking? What were the lessons that you learned? Did you talk to other players as well? Help us understand the entire playbook to make it towards a successful exit.
Uh, Ravi, we did not set up to get an exit. We did not start with that. So, we were very happy building what we were. And to be very candid and upfront, and also it's a bit naive, we found match made in heaven kind of story with inventory. And, we started talking to them. The founders themselves grew inventory to be a very large company. They themselves were on the call most of the time. So it was 90% of the time it was me engaging directly with inventory founders and our bankers and advisors taking a back seat because it was completely we could see the potential of what help inventory can bring to us, and I think they also saw that it's a robust dynamic team which wants to do good things. So we did speak to few players once the offer came because eventually we are run by a board, and it's board's fiduciary duty to actually cast a bit net bit wider, and we did that. But there were a few more players who were interested in sincerity. But our teams, me myself, everyone was extremely comfortable with inventory, their vision, their culture, how they look at things. It's a completely founder-led company, and we thought it would be best for us because we have built so much, and we want to see the biggest outcome of our story is when millions of people can actually touch and feel our product,
Right.
and so that's the goal we are chasing, and so inventory just fit in right well. So I don't know whether I can really advise listeners how to set up for a M&A, but I can only say one thing is do whatever you're doing, do it with passion, whatever you want to do. There are other players who are going to be doing the same thing, no doubt about it, but just try to keep improving your product, and whenever you're having any conversation with investors or strategic buyers, just be sincere and tell them what works and what doesn't, and
Right.
90% of the time people get it's going to be okay.
Right. So I'm very curious to know. I'm sure there are competitors in this space. Okay, and I'm curious to know what led inventory to choose you over your competitors. Was it a great product or a huge potential? Could you shed some light on the competition? How is the competition play here, and how were you different from the competition?
See, I wouldn't be able to speak, Ravi, a lot on behalf of inventory. Naturally, these questions should be posed to them, but I can tell
Yeah.
you what I know from, anecdotally, or I would say not with a lot of authority, but definitely there's a lot of competition. But as I said, it was a match, and, for the Gen Z lingo, it was a match between inventory and us. And again, I think from their end too, they found a team which was very upfront, very sincere, and none of us wanted to look at an exit. So while technically it's an exit, but we're still in the business. We are not, it's not that any of my team members is leaving. Uh, have, we all want to build more and deliver more. So I think that's what they like. And, they also saw that, it's more of an extension of their own brand and engineering. It's a part of addition to the family, as they say, versus really swallowing up a brand, buying a company. So that's where we are, and we've just started. But I think those were primarily the factors. And again, we being in the market, we have Singapore headquartered, extremely cleanly and well managed company with all the
Hmm.
processes, but selling in India with a large market, those definitely attracted other players to us.
Got it. How much of the acquisition information is public? Like, is the numbers public there, or how is it, or is it
We
is it
we
not public?
haven't we haven't dis no we haven't disclosed the actual amount, if that's your question,
Yeah.
primarily for a lot of reasons. And publicly, what we have announced is already in the press that I'm going to continue as the CEO, and the team is staying, and we're growing, and we are pumping more capital. And one of the main reasons for that is inventory itself is a privately held company,
Right.
and we may have larger plans together, and we don't, it's too premature to talk about any kind of other stuff right now.
Got it. But do you want to name a few competitors who are worthy to mention in this space? Like who would be your immediate competitors? Would you be comfortable sharing their names?
Oh, sure. There are a lot of companies we respect. We look at them. They have great offerings. If I talk about large system integrators, right from in India, Infosys, Wipro, they may pick up some kind of work around this work technology. Great
Hmm.
companies, services companies, a few product companies trying to do a meeting room. But overall, I think there's a lot of competition from large system integrators or services companies, which whenever a large enterprise deal comes to the market, they may actually want to bid for that. And then, of course, you have a services competing against a product, which, if the customer has a lot of buying time, services naturally has more advantage because, it can be extremely bespoke, right? And
Hmm.
then you have very local, very small companies, which are again, if the customer is not very sophisticated into what they want, then a very very small outfit can actually beat you at that game. So it's extremely competitive. It's
Hmm.
like any other industry. I'm sure it's extremely competitive, and that excites us because we also see uh, that's when our value proposition becomes even better positioned. Faster, better, cheaper, scalable, and
Right.
that's my quick response to your question.
Right. I asked you a question on how the industry buys, and you just mentioned that hey, there could be an RFP and people are bidding. Is this how usually there RFPs or procurement where people all the competitors they go and pitch in or apply for this bid, and then bidders the winning bidders get the deal? Is that how it is?
Yeah, the larger mandates, larger companies will do that. They will call for a very process-driven RFP or RFQ, and then like every other company, you would go and bid.
Okay, so large companies they have their RFP RFQ. And have you participated in any of them? And what has been your experience there? I just wanted to understand. If you see, I've been very curious to understand the buying behavior of PropTech, because in PropTech Buzz we are also trying to solve how can we help the buyers get to the right products. Okay, that is our platform is launching on 7th of August, and that's why these questions I'm posing you, because you have been also on the buying side, as you mentioned in your initial career. So how does have you participated in any of the RFPs, and what has been your experience?
Yes, we have, and very less. Ravi, I must be very upfront on this. Uh, Many times, if we will see an RFP, we don't want to participate because it's a very long drawn process, and there's no apple to apple comparison because we are IP owners. If you want, we own the IP of this product, right? So how can you actually have an apple to apple comparison? You're never going to have that, right? Because
I
these are
didn't
products,
get
right?
that. I didn't get that. Could you explain that? I didn't understand IP and apple to apple process. What did you mean there?
So I what I wanted to say is if if you want email, if you want to buy email, you have two natural products, maybe others, but I'm just going to say Microsoft or Gmail, and both of these are products. You
Right.
can't call an RFP and then think that Microsoft is going to bid for the email service, right? Because
Right.
these are completely different products. Similarly, our product is very different. You know, when you're going to call an RFP and then you're going to list features, uh, then a player like me. us may not actually fit all the features, or we may have something much larger which doesn't fit the RFP, right? So it is a
Right.
product buying. It's extremely difficult to compare apple to apple. That means everything being constant. We are not a services company,
Got it.
right? We
Got
don't do
it.
services. So if it is an RFP, it usually would be, as I mentioned, larger players, larger system integrators, larger service companies, and we tend to avoid that because primarily because of the speed reason. They are, of course, the money is a lot, but these are typically much larger drawn processes, and I think also our own stage of the company is not there yet. We can't run processes or mandates because once you participate in RFP, you're actually spending money. There's no doubt about
Mm,
that. Whether it is the team, whether it is the process, whether it is locking capital for bank guarantees, so on and so forth. I,
right.
I don't think we don't. My simple thought to is that I have better ROI right now somewhere else. I'm not saying RFPs are the wrong way to buy. It's
Right.
absolutely the right way to buy for a large enterprise,
Right.
and because they want something which fits them, and me and the guys and the companies which are bidding for those RFPs again are the right size because they can invest in that process. So I think it's a scale and a size issue. We are tending to be more product and more agile,
Got
but
it.
there's no doubt eventually once we grow more in size, we will have to participate in those larger ticket deals, right? Which are extremely
Mm,
large. Point one.
got it.
Point two is that we were a bit also fortunate that most quite a lot of our customers bought small quantities from us first, and then they scaled it step by step, eventually becoming something which is extremely sizable. But if they had put their buying process straight away to buy such a large quantity, then they would have called an RFP. You understand what I'm
Mm,
saying?
got it.
So we were
And
a bit
could you,
lucky with that.
nice, help us understand how you sell. So, what's your business model and pricing? Is there a SaaS play here? And there's no hardware, I suppose, right? It's just a software play. Am I right? Or does it
No.
have a hardware play as well?
So we give hardware and software both,
Got it.
and we give it as a subscription-based play. And our charging methods are per touch point because we do lobby management. So the number of times places you have a touch point, we charge per touch point per annum, and we take care of the hardware, the service, and everything.
Got it. Got it. Nice. Where do you see this space evolving? Because this is something that I always like to ask founders and CEOs because they are visionary. They are always at living at the cutting edge. So where do you see this space evolving in the coming years? Like, do you see more disruption happening in technology? Do you see new business model emerging? Shed some light on that aspect.
Ravi, both. I think there will be more models evolving. We may actually see access as a service. That means no one's actually going to go and get any hardware. You may have just the number of times someone's coming to an office, that kind of an access control, access as a service. We are very confident about entire proof of presence space because you have hybrid, you have fixed days in office, so proof of presence is going to pick up more. I personally, I think there's a lot to be done just in the space even we are operating. The table is extremely large, and if we just keep doing what we are doing with our meeting room and sign-in solutions, I think for the next 3 years we just have everything. Our hands are full because
Right.
there's so many companies which require this. It's a completely nascent industry.
Mhm.
It quite a lot of things got accelerated post COVID. There were offices which did not need any technology, but now because they have a hybrid workforce, they require technology. They require meeting rooms. They require meeting rooms to be moderated well. They require more collaboration because you have two set of people coming on two different days, so they need like collaborating space. Those spaces are becoming precious. They need some kind of software to manage that display, and that's where I think we are extremely well positioned.
Got it. Let's talk about your highs and lows in this journey. This is also my favorite question. um, so help us go through the lows and then the highs. The highs are obviously we heard about your acquisition. Definitely, I think that is the biggest high. But help us take through the journey on, especially during COVID. Did you have a bad phase and stuff like that?
Yes, sir, we're in extremely bad phase. Imagine a company which wants to do smart offices, and the world shuts all offices off, right? That's what happened to us. So, but in hindsight, and it's so true. And in hindsight, I think that was one of the best things which happened because all our engineers could really put their focus on developing the product well. We didn't have any sales pressure. There was no one buying. So we didn't,
Mm,
and true product innovators, are not only listening to customers, they are thinking and forecasting ahead, right? So we had a great product management team, and they could forecast ahead as to what a product would need or what it should include. And there was no
mm,
customer to tell them, don't do it or do it,
mm,
right? So it gave a whiteboard for people to actually cast the net very wide in a very interesting way. And
mm,
so that's what happened. I think we definitely had our own quite a lot of low points, but I wouldn't say anything which was crippling in any sense, or where the whole team morale was down. Our usual low points were when the product wouldn't behave the way we wanted it to,
mm,
system issues. But slowly, those are all engineering problems. And we were usually our lows would also revolve around when we had the second wave, and again the offices didn't open, then the third wave, because the sales team was just eager to go out because everyone was still that time just making phone calls, right? So those were some of the, I would say, troughs in our journey. And then we had a lot of peaks, right? Especially our customers, when we started winning larger deals, where we started actually getting prioritized over other players. Those were the highs. And then, of course, our eventual, the latest, merger acquisition with inventory has been an extremely high point in the team's morale. This deal has been enough for cooking for some time. So everyone knew about it, but everyone wanted to announce it, and those kind of things. So this is definitely a high. We're still in a bit of a celebratory mode, as I, but it's excellent.
Excellent. It's a validation of doing the right thing at the right time. So congratulations again. How do the next
Thank you.
a few years how does the next few years look like for Ipla?
See, the next few years are simple. We are going to do more with our meeting room management module. We have ordered a lot of hardware around that, extremely capable hardware with our own design in that. We're going to get everything ready. Our embedded team is working. The embedded engineers are finally given a go ahead on that. And we want to bring them to our customers. We have a decent order book on that. We're going to go a bit deep down in our meeting room management modules. And that's what I think the next 18 months are going to figure out for us. And at the same time, maintain our visitor management modules. It's pretty much selling for that and innovation. So these are the two modules we are going to keep focusing on, right from engineering as well as from sales as well as from delivery point of view. And that's going to be next 18 months. After 18 months, we may add few things which I can't definitely tell you right now, but there are some plans around that, and mostly around making experience more smoother and friction free. And so the next 20 months odd is after 18 months, next 20 months odds is around that. And that should take care of the next 3 4 years. And I really can't see beyond that, to be honest with you.
Thank you. Well, this brings us to the end of a very, very fascinating conversation with Sandeep. Sandeep, thank you for sharing your wealth of knowledge, taking us through your experience. I would say this is one of the better business podcast that I've had, because we covered a lot of ground. I'm very selfish in these conversations. I'm satisfying my own curiosity, but thanks for sharing all of that openly, and all the best for the coming years. And again, congratulations are in order for this acquisition, and all the best to your team.
Ravi, thanks a lot for having me, and I really enjoyed the conversation. And you're absolutely right. Not many times get I actually asked about the business, and your questions were very, very relevant and also thought provoking at the same time. Thank you very much. I wish all your listeners a lot of success and happiness always.
And thank you for being our first backers. We are launching on 7th of August, and Hipla has agreed to allow us to launch them and promote their products on the global stage. So that is also something that I'm so happy that you supported us. You're part of our first products that we will be launching.
It's a privilege, Ravi. Thanks a lot, and I appreciate you thinking us that you're worthy enough to be a part of your journey. I wish you best, and I'm sure you're going to do great and have a fantastic journey ahead.
Excellent, Sandeep. See you around. Bye bye.
Thank you.